The first plastic bag was actually invented and patented in 1965. It is now entering into our bloodstream, in our food chain, in the form of microplastic.
It is becoming problem for our economy, for the health, for the environment. It takes a long time, decades, centuries to degrade, and it imposes certain negative consequences on our ecosystems and on our landscape.
Today, every household uses plastic in their homes in forms of bottles and bags. What has that resulted in? That has resulted in plastics being flooded across our environment. What should he or she do to help the process of plastic waste management?
Waste has economic value, but the mixed waste वो होता है तो problem होता है.
Everybody feels it's a very urban-centric issues. Plastic waste is also a very severe rural issue.
Good morning and welcome to UNICEF House in India. We are speaking today about a very important issue which affects all of us. 60 years ago, everybody, my parents, your parents, our grandparents, whenever they used to go to shop, they used to carry bags like these, cloth bags. They used to carry to bring their vegetables, fruits and other items. They also used to carry certain boxes like wooden boxes to get food or get other items for their homes. Why were these important? Because there were no other options, first of all, and they were easy to handle. Then what happened was that many people thought that to make these cloth bags and make these wooden boxes, there was a need to cut trees in a big way. And that was a major issue. Deforestation was increasing across the world. Researchers started to look for alternatives. And as late as 1960-65, researchers in Europe and Sweden and the US, they started working on products which we now know as plastic. And the first plastic bag was actually invented and patented in 1965. And now, today, every household uses plastic in their homes in forms of bottles and bags, and many packing industries, even our cars, has plastic components. What has that resulted in? That has resulted in plastics being flooded across our environment. Initially, there may not have been a focus. People may not have thought of what will happen to all this plastic. So the World Environment Day is focusing on plastic pollution. And today, we have here with us to speak on plastic pollution and how India, the government and the people of India are trying to handle this issue. We have two eminent experts in this field. We have got representing the Government of India and the Ministry of Jal Shakti, Ms. Karanjit Singh, Director in charge of Plastic Waste Management. Welcome, Karanjit ji. And we have a young entrepreneur from Orissa, Mr. Stalin Nayak, who is the CEO of Practice Group and a youth entrepreneur who has done extensive work on plastic. Karanjit ji, I'll start with you. First of all, what is an Indian Economic Service Officer doing handling plastic management in India?
Sir, first of all, I would like to thank UNICEF for being a partner in the whole rural sanitation process from the very beginning, sir. So I belong to the 2009 batch Indian Economic Service. The officers of our service can be posted across the different ministries and departments of Government of India. I initially worked in the Department of Agriculture, then some other departments, and in 2020, at the peak of COVID, I was posted in Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation. So that time, the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0 was starting. And as you know, sir, under this phase 2.0, we are not only talking about ODF or sustaining ODF, but a very important component is the solid waste management. And under that, another sub-component is the plastic waste management. So, I've been given the charge to the section that is handling plastic waste, and here I am, sir.
Thank you, Karanjit ji. Why do you think plastic waste management is important? And for a country like India, because I was looking at some figures, last year's figures says that India is one of the largest plastic waste producer in the world. Why do you think it's important for India in particular? And what is the Swachh Bharat mission trying to do for plastic waste?
Sir, as you mentioned in your opening remarks, uh, plastic as a material is a very useful material, sir. But since it takes a long time, decades, centuries to degrade, and it imposes certain negative uh, consequences on our ecosystems and on our landscapes, sir. Second thing is that it is uh, its production, its generation, it contributes to global warming. Taking care of this waste, it involves cost, sir. Its improper disposal uh, leads to emission of toxic fumes in the environment, and then it is harmful for our children, for our wildlife. So all these negative impacts that we are seeing from plastic waste, that's why we feel that there was need for the government of India to take actions to kind of manage the plastic waste issue in the rural India. So in the second phase of Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin, we are providing some support to properly manage the plastic waste for this proper disposal, and funding support, technical support, IC, all those things we are working together with the states, the local bodies, gram panchayats to manage the plastic waste, sir.
From what you said, I mean, the panchayats and the local bodies, we also hear about in a few places SAG is also working. So, what do you think is the role of youth and public in the handling of plastic waste and the management of plastic waste?
So we start with village action plan, sir. So in preparation of the village action plan, the youths can be involved. They can play an important role. In Gram Sabha discussion, they can be involved. In creating awareness, they are heavily involved. So they can participate in our IC activities, campaigns that we run throughout the year in different formats across the country. And we are also training a large number of master trainers. So youths are also a part of that process. They can be the one who are leading for the change in the rural areas regarding plastic waste. We do also advise the states that there's a need for involvement of self-help groups, SAGs, basically in the whole process of collection of waste, door-to-door collection of waste, in the segregation activities, in running the segregation sets, plastic waste management units. So we are seeing different models across the country, sir, where these waste management units are being run successfully by the SIGs, by the youths, by some NGOs. So it's a cooperative way of managing the plastic waste.
Can you give a few examples, Karanjit, what you have seen on plastic waste management? Some interesting things that you have seen.
So, for example, in West Bengal, uh, all the plastic waste management units that are constructed on Swachh Bharat Mission Gramins, they are either being run by the SAGs, they are either being run by the FPOs, Farmers Producer Organization, or the Kabariwalas, or the SAGs, and then by the GPs also. And then and in some states, it is that they have given the this plastic waste management units to the local entrepreneurs, local youths. And even though sanitation in itself is a goal, these units are able to generate revenues, and they are a scalable model also, sir. So this is across the state we're seeing different initiatives, different policies that the states are taking, and the gram panchayats are also the very innovative practices, innovative policies they are following. In, for example, in one panchayat in Jammu Kashmir, they are giving gold coins to the
Yes.
people who are collecting the waste.
Yes.
In some states, they are giving to the school children who are collecting and bringing the plastic waste. They're giving some reward also, and in the form of some books, stationery items. So the at the rural level also, sir, the people, the gram panchayats, and then the youths, they are very involved and very innovative. And I think going forward, we may see very good results, sir.
So I think that is a very good stage where we can bring in Mr. Stalin. So Stalin, you are a Tata Institute of Social Science postgraduate. How did you get involved in plastic waste management?
So I've been working to establish certain social enterprise, mostly around the circular economy and climate change. So this was a small story how we entered into the plastic waste, and we are exclusively working in plastic waste in rural areas. So there is a Mangala Jodi is a wetland where we have been working, and this is amazing wetland. Basically, the fishing community stays around there. So a lot of migratory birds from Siberia used to come there. So earlier they used to hunt them, but with the help of community participation and civil societies and all, so they all try to protect the birds. So that become a very good ecotourism site. So to strengthen the tourism with the youth, we have been running a campaign again under the UNICEF called Youth for Water. So under this campaign, we have been engaging the youth to clean that particular wetland and around the periphery and the villages and grama panchayats. So we could find while doing a plogging drive, a lot of plastic waste coming out of there. So I can remember then while we were engaging with different government officials, bureaucrats, civil society organizations, and academia also. So when we talk, there are a lot of plastic waste in rural areas. Everybody was giving a very different sense. Is it really so that plastic waste are also in rural areas? Because it's everybody feels it's a very urban centric issues. But I tell you one thing, sir. Now currently we have established several plastic waste management plan exclusively catering to the rural areas. Every plant is running with the full capacity, and the inventories are full, and also there are loads of trucks and loads of carriers who brings a lot of plastic waste from the rural areas also. And this waste where I'm talking, it's not from urban or peri-urban areas also. These are the waste which comes from the hinterlands, hilly terrains. In fact, we are getting a lot of plastic waste from a lot of tribal hamlets and as well as revenue villages, which is basically the hamlets of even the PTC, particularly tribal groups like Lanjia Sora or Kondho or Santal or Gond and also. So these much of plastic waste also do come from these areas. So what we can figure out, plastic waste is also a very severe rural issue. So that is how it gave us an insight to work on it. And we have been exclusively working on that segment. That's point one. Second, being a student of again development sector, we always try to resolve these issues with by which there is an economic result also. So we try to bring this plastic waste management into an enterprise to by which it will be a sustainable and it would also give a livelihood. So second was the livelihood. And third, the state which I belong to, Odisha, and where we work, this Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, the government has built very robust institution building around women. A very good self-help groups are being constructed. Institution building is amazing in the grassroots. So how come this women in the self-help group can be linked to such enterprise? So this was also our third target. And the fourth was the technology. I remember when I used to meet different ULD heads, chairmen, elected representatives, and all. When we used to showcase a lot of technology innovation, they used to say, "Don't you think it's very Europe centric? Because it's yet to come. A lot of capital investment in West. We are just in a very nascent stage." But to share view that in rural plastic waste management, we have also introduced technology. So amalgamating these four components, we have been running a platform called Mo Wash Company. It's a completely a tech-enabled platform where we collect the waste at the rural only, again by the women, mostly from the SHG members. We collect them from the Gram Panchayat level, bring them to block level, then to subdivision level, and finally to the district level, the plastic waste management plant. And finally, we also produce different types of byproduct that gives again them economic well-being. And this everything is managed by a command and control center, which is an tech-enabled platform. This is how we have been planning
Yeah, very interesting and very interesting process. Thanks for explaining the thing. Karanjit ji, I'll come back to you quickly because he said this investment. So the Swachh Bharat Mission has some resources for plastic waste management. So how much is available for a gram panchayat? Or I think the people who are listening would really want to know.
So we are providing funding for door-to-door collection, transportation, and the segregation sets also, sir. These are at the GP level. But at the block level, we provide for 16 lakh is available for setting up plastic waste management units. But we also found that the quantum of waste in some of the blocks are not that of a quantity to kind of make the unit viable. So we have allowed the states to kind of do clustering. So instead of having one unit in each block, they can have, for example, they can have a one unit for 5 blocks, but then they will get 16 into 5, say 80 lakhs. So then they can go for bigger units also. So those are the financial support available under Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin, sir.
Yes, Stalin. So as Karanjit ji said, money is available to some extent. You are working in the field. What is the thought in the gram panchayat level about accessing this money and going for plastic waste? Is there enough awareness or enthusiasm for this?
It varies from district to district, sir. There are certain places where really there is a lot of awareness, but as a organization or a government, we need to sensitize them. So I'd like to share that one model with the help of UNICEF only we have established in district of Sundargarh in Odisha. And after that also we scaled up that model in different district. So if I share in a very nutshell, when we are working with urban sanitation worker, so this is a big cadre, but we were thinking that who are the rural sanitation worker? Have they been identified? Have they been rolled on? Or is there any very stronger documentation on the rural sanitation worker? So there we could find in one of the district in Sundargarh, it has been completely in every Gram Panchayat plastic waste segregation has been made. Similarly, also in Angul district. So first we mapped one of the SAG, they have been tagged. So two of the district, Angul and Sundargarh, we did completely. After that, these SHG women who have been tagged to this plastic waste segregation set, in the second phase, we train them under the NSQF, National Skill Qualification Framework. This is on the plastics waste segregator is a job role which has been created under two sector skill council. One is Green Job Sector Skill Council and other one is Rubber, Plastic and Petrochemical.
The NSDCs, yeah.
Yes, so we train them under the sector skill council. We assess them under the Director General of Training, and we also certified them under the National Council of Vocational Education and Training. So the sole motive of this process was that now they are onboarded in the national level platform. And they have been identified as a plastic waste segregator as well as the sanitation worker and so on. And this is a process where we created and a big cadre in the rural area for the plastic waste management. This was our second phase. Third, we enable them for the medical checkup. Also, we have, on a saturation model, 3 district, we have completely given them a no-frill account, social security benefits like pension and insurance, life insurance, accidental insurance, and so on. So we tried to make this sector more organized, even though they're our plastic waste segregator sanitation workers, but they have been organized. This was our third phase, which we did. After that, we established this plastic waste management plant. So there are in one district, if I take an example, which is under the pilot of UNICEF, 276 plastic waste collectors are there. So they collect the waste through the battery operated vehicle, and sometimes in some Gram Panchayat there is no vehicle, so they collect by tricycles also. Second, there is a plastic waste management plant where around 20 women are working. So the plant which they produce, the byproducts, with that money, these 20 women are having a good remuneration for their sustenance, for economic well-being. But this plant is not that sufficient to cater the expected remuneration for this 276 waste collector and segregators. For their remuneration, it comes from GPTP. So we are working very hard so that this entire enterprise can be sustainable. So that's under process. And to cater the third most important, which is a requirement of a PME, Project Management Unit. Because the government officials, the line department officials, they're quite busy in the regular schemes and programs. So for this plastic waste management as a value chain to establish an enterprise, we need a very stable PMU with a very technical and domain experts. So such money in some places comes, like as I said, in Sundargarh is from UNICEF. In Angul it came from some petrochemical companies. So we mobilized this particular PMU fund from different companies, by which a successful value chain could be established.
Thank you, Karanjit. I just pick up to what Stalin said. Uh, it seems to me that the problem of plastic waste cannot be handled by one ministry, in a government also. And obviously, you need convergence. And in fact, plastic waste, I think the core responsibility is with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and the Pollution Control Board. But I'm sure there is convergence with Panchayati Raj for rural and Jal Shakti Ministry, drinking water and sanitation. And so, where do you see this convergence happening, and how do you think at the ground level we can get various kind of departments to work together to reach one result?
So just to clarify one thing, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change are responsible for framing the rules and
Okay,
policies.
okay.
But the implementations are being done by the other ministries. Like, for example, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs are doing in the urban areas. We are doing in the rural areas, and other ministries are doing in their the domain areas. Regarding convergence in Odisha is a very good example under Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin. In fact, they have constructed very less number of plastic waste management units. What they're doing is they are tying up with the urban MRF. They are sending the waste, plastic waste to the urban MRF. Till now, that is what they've been doing. But where this kind of convergence is not possible, so we had the discussions with them, and they will be taking up plastic waste management units in the rural areas wherever this kind of conversion not feasible. So another thing is that I would love to know from Stalin whether he has worked with our Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin team. So how was the experience like?
Yes, there have been a lot of support because the SPM Ramen team comes for the monitoring, supervision, facilitation, and also the block development officer, where this plastic waste management in rural area is situated in district of Sundargarh. The BDOs are also involved. They also come but for all the governance process and all. Uh, to scale this up in other district like Angul, we have also done entirely with the 3,000 plastic waste segregator, but the plastic waste management plant yet to be constructed. So to expedite this process, I think the role of the entrepreneurs engaging regularly with the government and all is also very vital.
Stalin, I want to follow up on that. I mean, we have our audience here. I mean, we are entrepreneurs, young people. I mean, not people either who want to start a business or people who want to work. So does plastic waste management or any other waste management along with plastic waste, is it broad enough to provide an opportunity to an entrepreneur? Is it a profitable business because you are working on this? And does it have the capacity to provide employment? I know you mentioned a bit, but if I look at overall, if I'm a new uh, entrepreneur, mm, do you think plastic waste management is an area which can give me, uh, I mean, successfully able to run a new entrepreneurship?
Sir, which we discussed is like majorly which we have worked and have established with a tangible outcome is more like a women-led group enterprises. So where we have done across the whole district. Coming to as an individual entrepreneurs, yes, they can definitely do. Again, a program is being run. It is also being supported by UNICEF in Odisha called Odisha Waspreneur Fellowship. So this is a 9-month long fellowship program where the youth who are interested to work on the plastic waste management have been selected across all the 30 districts of Odisha. It's a man and woman both. And very interestingly, there have been a tribal youth, also a woman who is a rack picker. She came through a selection process, a veteran, women leader from the SAG leaders. They all joined these fellowship programs. They're more into collection, segregation, and just creating the pellets and supplying it to Calcutta. Because in Odisha or Jharkhand, we need to have uh, a big setup of the industries which can really produce the byproducts so that they can have a more profit.
As you know, UNICEF is there in 16 states. We are working with the state governments as we are working with you here. And plastic waste is one of the areas where we are trying to produce, give support as the state needs. One of the examples is the issue of making roads or putting plastic waste into road. What what is your opinion on that, and what do you think has happened in this?
Sir, regarding the utilization of plastic waste in road construction, we have seen very good results especially in states like Tamil Nadu and West Bengal also. So they are the plastic waste that is coming to our units. They are being shredded and then they are being sent to the for the road construction. For the plastic waste that they are sending for the road construction, and so these units are earning revenues. And in West Bengal also, they have the government have set the price for plastic waste, and then they're doing very well, sir. So not only in these two states, but other states also under they are using the plastic waste under for construction of roads under the Governmental Gram Sadak Yojana.
Do you think there is a role of PSUs in this? Because India PSUs are big public sector undertakings, or prioritizing plastic waste in their corporate social responsibility. So is there any movement on that, that they should be encouraged to look at plastic waste?
Sir, it is up to the states what models they want to adopt. So there are different models happening across the country. So we would also prefer that the states get funding from the corporates, whether they work together with corporates, whether whether in the field of getting funding or in the running the units. Those are like they are free to do that. States are free to do that. Yeah.
How does a young person start getting themselves involved in plastic waste management?
Yeah, it has two facets. Like the young people, they can definitely work on the SPCC, mostly the behavioral change and awareness programs and all. So that is what the campaign which I mentioned earlier, the Youth for Water, has been doing. But at the same time, also plastic waste management as a livelihood is also kind of a lot of green jobs it creates. So staying in their periphery, in their areas, they can also earn their livelihood without migrating. So there's a mammoth exercise has been going on since 3 to 4 years across all the districts of Orissa. So to ensure the youth participation. But if I say in a very generic perspective, in the rural area, youth has a major role. And now currently, if I say, there are a lot of community cadres in the rural area, which are basically like we say Instagram influencers, Facebook influencers. These are basically the rural influencers. Like, so they have also a very critical role where youths can also engage with them to penetrate the issue of plastic waste management. We have been using in academic discourse a lot of big jargons related to plastic waste management. But for a more youth participation, we have a more focus on Lok Katha, which has been very interesting folk tale or local message. Yes, local message like disaster risk resilience. It's a very big word. But we remember in the childhood, our grandmother used to tell a story that how ants, they carry this rice during before the rainy monsoon season so that they keep it. So during the rain season, they can consume it. So such small stories could make us feel that how important it's to we have a preparedness for disaster. So for the plastic waste management, such type of small stories has to be created as a lok katha. So that gets into the youth very well in the rural area rather than having a big conference or seminar workshop. So that is also some we can find during our work.
It has to be great. Yes, yes, yes. Do we know how much plastic is generated? I mean, there is a figure, 9 million tons a year. Do we know in rural areas how much plastic is there? That is one question. And the second question, I also heard that you're trying to do an EPR, extended producer's responsibility. There is some talk about people who are manufacturing plastic should also be responsible for dealing with it. So what do you have to say about these two things?
So while we were implementing this plastic waste management unit, to talking to the states and how to go about and how to plan and everything, we realized that there's a lack of data on the quantum of plastic waste being generated in the rural areas. Stalin also mentioned कि whether आ ही रहा है क्या वेस्ट प्लास्टिक वेस्ट रूरल से है कि नहीं, रूरल में जनरेट हो रहा है कि नहीं, बट being generated due to lack of data also planning can falter, sir. So we are thinking of doing a waste quantification or waste categorization study through some reputed institute, ताकि वो जो data आएगा, that will be a good inputs when while going ahead while planning for SBM 3.0 also, sir. Regarding EPR things, sir, we are taking a long-term planning here. So we are considering many things. We are having discussions with different stakeholders. We are thinking of planning different activities, workshops, orientations. So EPR workshop on orientation is also a good idea. So we will coordinate with MOEFCC also. Because specifically on EPR, there's lack of awareness among the rural stakeholders.
Correct.
How they can integrate in the whole implementation process in terms of how to properly dispose of the जो भी waste है through the manufacturers and processors. इसके लिए sir, we are thinking of having an orientation of sort. We will invite all stakeholders. Maybe Stalin can also be a part of that.
One of the things you just now mentioned, so एक चीज मेरे को ध्यान आया, I mean, for the battery, car battery, when your car battery expires, you buy a new car battery. Invariably, if you give the old one back, I think now the rule is you have to give the old one back. You cannot dispose it like that. And they will adjust some money, 500 rupees they will give for that. So if there is a regulation, I think it can be done. One more example that strikes me about water. When we drink water in a plastic bottle, the 1 liter bottle, we take it and we go home, and after drinking we just throw it in the dustbin. But the larger bottles, the larger 20-liter bottles, that is collected back by the supplier. Now, I know maybe it is economically feasible for him to take that bottle, refill and send it back to you. For the 1 liter bottle, it is not. So I think unless we try to talk to the producer to say that you have a responsibility for the product you are making, the extended producer's responsibility, I think, has to be looked at as an economic story, and not only as a law and order, enforcement of rules. So maybe a conversation on that in India. There is conversation happening, but in rural areas maybe we need to talk about it. That was one suggestion. The other suggestion that was spoken about is we just talk about the MOEFCC's has this campaign, reduce, refuse and recycle. So how much is that important for rural areas? I mean, can a person refuse that? Like, for example, if I have this plastic and if I go to a shop and somebody gives me, and ideally, if I say, I will not take this plastic, you keep it. Then slowly, the situation will come, people will stop keeping this plastic. How can we reach that stage?
Sir, the DNA of Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin itself is based on the 3 R's. So, reduce, reuse, recycle. Nowadays, we are even going beyond 3 hours. Now we're talking about 4 hours, 5 hours also. We are also coming out with a policy or an advisory on 4 hours. We have got inputs from Sir UNICEF also. Reduce in a sense that we have to reduce the use of SUPs, plastics, all those things through IEC campaigns, sir, and through behavioral change communication, DCC, IEC. We are working on that. Reuse also, we are like not only in the plastic sector also, but in other verticals of Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin also, we are focusing on reusing that plastic waste, converting into reusable item, using it for producing construction material, pebble blocks, and then recycling, obviously, that is happening. So whatever waste is coming to our PWMUs, there are three ways of dealing with it. One is through recyclable, you give it to the recycling units and then you tie up with the Kabariwalas, aggregators, whatever. Then there is the end of life disposal also. That is, you can use the plastic waste in waste to energy plants, including co-processing in the cement plants also. And then obviously road constructions. So all these are happening, sir. We are facilitating, encouraging the states. We are talking to different stakeholders just to ensure that there's a proper disposal of plastic waste.
Actually, UNICEF, of course, does work a bit on plastic waste. Our agency, partner agency, United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, is the lead agency which which looks after plastic waste. They have a very good website, a global partners hub they're calling. So if you speak to the UN EP people, I mean, and global experts, they talk about four maybe major things that we need to do. One is make producers part of the of what is to be done as a solution, this environmental product. The second part, this says, involve the waste picker, the person who is collecting, now picking up, collecting, segregating. He or she has to be part of the solution. The third one you mentioned, data. You must have data. Unless you know information, how will you solve the problem? The fourth one is on green skills and training, that you need to build capacities. And the fifth one possibly is, we must realize that there are millions of people involved in the plastic waste business. It's an industry. So it's not easy to say, let's close all plastic immediately. It has a role in society. The question is, how do you manage the effects of that role? So I think the discussion has come to a stage. We have understood what government is doing. We have understood what you are trying to do. But as some of my colleagues were asking, as a general public person in staying in a rural area, what should he or she do? Maybe he doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, doesn't want to do any business, doesn't want to do any job also on plastic waste. What should he or she do to help the process of plastic waste management?
Yes, so as we know that in Indian market, plastic industry has a very prominent role. So when we are trying to, have a paradigm shift, so just transition also plays a vital role in this, so that people who are engaged for their livelihoods should not also lose that. So coming to individual responsibility, if I say in the rural areas, one is we have to also, like, anyone has to also first learn what are the different types of plastic. So the which are very dangerous plastic, like code 7 plastic.
Is this a dangerous plastic?
Yeah, of course.
This is the dangerous one. Okay.
So at least they have to be very much aware that how they can avoid. Second is they have to learn how to segregate at source, which is a very critical phenomenon in terms of this entire movement. Third, plugging. Plugging may be,
What is blogging?
plugging is just walking or running and collecting the plastics. So this is kind of
And collect and do what?
collect and pilot, and again to either to connect to a segregation shed or to send off to the plastic waste management plant and all. So this sort of plugging is also a very youth centric social movement. Not only youth, people from the different age groups are also joining. That is also one thing. Third is we have to encourage the folk arts, folk music and folk dance and folk stories, so that it will go
Behavior change.
for the behavior change. So this sort of activity has to be designed and passed on.
Yeah, thanks, Sterling. This is this action point. Yes.
The most important contribution that I as an individual, we as an individual can do is to segregate. Segregation is very, very important.
When you say segregate, you mean what? Someone's in my home. Why do I have to do it?
Segregate the dry waste from the wet waste, different bins, different bags, give it to the waste collector.
But what we have seen many times, my waste collector goes and uses everything there also.
Then we, as an individual, we have to make them aware. If we are seeing that they are not doing the proper segregation, we have to make them aware. We have to educate them, because when you get segregated waste, then it becomes easier for the downstream, for the people who are handling the PWA, plastic waste management units or the segregation sites. So segregated waste has economic value, but the mixed waste, वो होता है तो प्रॉब्लम होता है. तो segregation is very important. As an individual, we have to do it. So, but it's very important that we do segregation, and then we, in case if not happening, we should make the people aware, and then we should do this and that. Kerala is a good example, a good model for the solid waste management also. So, मेरा तो ये है कि मतलब आप अवेयर कीजिए, अपने आप को एडुकेट कीजिए, एंड देन यू मेक पीपल अवेयर, सेग्रीगेशन कीजिए. Even I didn't do segregation before at my place. Now I have started कि bottles को अलग रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि इससे इकोनॉमिक वैल्यू है. तो इंडिविजुअल को एडुकेट कीजिए, अपने आप को एडुकेट कीजिए, एंड देन खुद इम्प्लीमेंट कीजिए जो है सेग्रीगेशन. अगर दूसरों को बताइए, अगर इफ यू सी पीपल नॉट डूइंग इट, यू टेल देम कि ऐसा करना चाहिए. सेकेंड थिंग, if the waste collectors are coming to your house to collect, वो देखिए कि whether they're doing it properly, उनके पास सेफ्टी किट्स है, वो सब है.
Actually, the vision is this conversation. Thank you very much for this conversation. The vision is, even the Prime Minister, I think when he started SBM second phase in 2019-20, he said that one of the goals of SBM phase 2 is visual cleanliness. If you go to rural areas across India, invariably you see plastics, pink, red, not red, pink, green, blue and black, white, sprayed all over as if it's a birthday party of somebody, and it's a disaster. So if we can stop that or decrease that, I think it'll be a great achievement. And I think this conversation will enthuse people to at least go out of the house, try to do the work inside the house, as you said, segregation, and also see that their environment is free from plastic. If you see plastic, pick it up and put it in a dustbin or a collection center. Don't let it lie around the environment. Thank you so much for this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskar.